This is S78 to St. George Ferry. Next stop, Arthur Kill Road and Allentown Lane. This stop is Arthur Kill Road and Allentown Lane. Next stop, Arthur Kill Road and South Bridge Street. This stop is Arthur Kill Road and South Bridge Street. Next stop, Arthur Kill Road and Richmond Valley Road. This stop is Arthur Kill Road and Richmond Valley Road. Next stop, Arthur Kill Road and Nassau Place. This stop is Arthur Kill Road and Nassau Place. Next stop, Arthur Kill Road and Fisher Avenue. Transfer available to Staten Island Railway. This stop is Arthur Kill Road and Fisher Avenue. Next stop, Arthur Kill Road and Wood Avenue. This stop is Arthur Kill Road and Wood Avenue. Next stop, Arthur Kill Road and Yetman Avenue. This stop is Arthur Kill Road and Yetman Avenue. Next stop, Arthur Kill Road and Main Street. This stop is Arthur Kill Road and Main Street. Next stop, Main Street and Craig Avenue. This stop is Main Street and Craig Avenue. Next stop, Main Street and Amboy Road. Transfer available to S59. This stop is Main Street and Amboy Road. Next stop, Main Street and Hylan Boulevard. This stop is Main Street and Hylan Boulevard. Next stop, Hylan Boulevard and Brighton Street. This stop is Hylan Boulevard and Brighton Street. Next stop, Hylan Boulevard and Yetman Avenue. This stop is Hylan Boulevard and Yetman Avenue. Next stop, Hylan Boulevard and Sprague Avenue. This stop is Hylan Boulevard and Sprague Avenue. Next stop, Hylan Boulevard and Jolene Avenue. This stop is Hylan Boulevard and Jolene Avenue. Next stop, Hylan Boulevard and Bedell Avenue. This stop is Hylan Boulevard and Bedell Avenue. Next stop, Hylan Boulevard and Page Avenue. This stop is Hylan Boulevard and Page Avenue. Next stop, Hylan Boulevard and Richard Avenue. This stop is Hylan Boulevard and Richard Avenue. Next stop, Hylan Boulevard and Cunningham Road. This stop is Hylan Boulevard and Cunningham Road. Next stop, Hylan Boulevard and Kenny Road. This stop is Hylan Boulevard and Kenny Road. Next stop, Hylan Boulevard and Sherrod Avenue. This stop is Hylan Boulevard and Sherrod Avenue. Next stop, Hylan Boulevard and Woodvale Avenue. This stop is Hylan Boulevard and Woodvale Avenue. Next stop, Hylan Boulevard and Bayview Avenue. This stop is Hylan Boulevard and Bayview Avenue. Next stop, Hylan Boulevard and Inez Street. This stop is Hylan Boulevard and Inez Street. Next stop, Hylan Boulevard and Seguin Avenue. Transfers available to S55 and S56. This stop is Hylan Boulevard and Seguin Avenue. Next stop, Hylan Boulevard and Cornelia Avenue. Transfers available to S55 and S56. This stop is Hylan Boulevard and Cornelia Avenue. Next stop, Hylan Boulevard and Luton Avenue. Transfers available to S55 and S56. This stop is Hylan Boulevard and Luton Avenue. Next stop, Hylan Boulevard and Huguenot Avenue. This stop is Hylan Boulevard and Huguenot Avenue. Next stop, Hylan Boulevard and Arbutus Avenue. This stop is Hylan Boulevard and Arbutus Avenue. Next stop, Hylan Boulevard and Wendy Drive. This stop is Hylan Boulevard and Wendy Drive. Next stop, Hylan Boulevard and Poylan Avenue. This stop is Hylan Boulevard and Poylan Avenue. Next stop, Hylan Boulevard and Dole Street. This stop is Hylan Boulevard and Dole Street. Next stop, Hylan Boulevard and Lipset Avenue. This stop is Hylan Boulevard and Lipset Avenue. Next stop, Hylan Boulevard and Barclay Avenue. This stop is Hylan Boulevard and Barclay Avenue. Next stop, Hylan Boulevard and Holdridge Avenue. This stop is Hylan Boulevard and Holdridge Avenue. Next stop, Hylan Boulevard and Arden Avenue. This stop is Hylan Boulevard and Arden Avenue. Next stop, Hylan Boulevard and Woods of Arden Road. This stop is Hylan Boulevard and Woods of Arden Road. Next stop, Hylan Boulevard and Hales Avenue. This stop is Hylan Boulevard and Hales Avenue. Next stop, Hylan Boulevard and Richmond Avenue. Transfers available to S54, S89 Limited and S79 SBS. This stop is Hylan Boulevard and Richmond Avenue. Next stop, Hylan Boulevard and Winchester Avenue. This stop is Hylan Boulevard and Winchester Avenue. Next stop, Hylan Boulevard and Littlefield Avenue. This stop is Hylan Boulevard and Littlefield Avenue. Next stop, Hylan Boulevard and Armstrong Avenue. This stop is Hylan Boulevard and Armstrong Avenue. Next stop, Hylan Boulevard and Goodall Street. This stop is Hylan Boulevard and Goodall Street. Next stop, Hylan Boulevard and Nelson Avenue. This stop is Hylan Boulevard and Nelson Avenue. Next stop, Hylan Boulevard and Hillside Terrace. This stop is Hylan Boulevard and Hillside Terrace. Next stop, Hylan Boulevard and Great Kills Road. This stop is Hylan Boulevard and Great Kills Road. Next stop, Hylan Boulevard and Fieldway Avenue. This stop is Hylan Boulevard and Fieldway Avenue. Next stop, Hylan Boulevard and Keegan's Lane. This stop is Hylan Boulevard and Keegan's Lane. Next stop, Hylan Boulevard and Redgrave Avenue. This stop is Hylan Boulevard and Redgrave Avenue. Next stop, Hylan Boulevard and Bay Terrace. This stop is Hylan Boulevard and Bay Terrace. Next stop, Hylan Boulevard and Justin Avenue. This stop is Hylan Boulevard and Justin Avenue. Next stop, Hylan Boulevard and Spratt Avenue. This stop is Hylan Boulevard and Spratt Avenue. Next stop, Hylan Boulevard and Buffalo Street. This stop is Hylan Boulevard and Buffalo Street. Next stop, Hylan Boulevard and Chesterton Avenue. This stop is Hylan Boulevard and Chesterton Avenue. Next stop, Hylan Boulevard and Montreal Avenue. This stop is Hylan Boulevard and Montreal Avenue. Next stop, Hylan Boulevard and Brook Avenue. This stop is Hylan Boulevard and Brook Avenue. Next stop, Hylan Boulevard and Diane Avenue. Transfer available to S57. This stop is Hylan Boulevard and Diane Avenue. Next stop, Hylan Boulevard and Oak Avenue. Transfer available to S57. This stop is Hylan Boulevard and Oak Avenue. Next stop, Hylan Boulevard and Reno Avenue. This stop is Hylan Boulevard and Reno Avenue. Next stop, Hylan Boulevard and Ebbett Street. Transfer available to S57. This stop is Hylan Boulevard and Ebbett Street. Next stop, Hylan Boulevard and Beach Avenue. Transfer available to S57. This stop is Hylan Boulevard and Beach Avenue. Next stop, Hylan Boulevard and Ross Avenue. This stop is Hylan Boulevard and Ross Avenue. Next stop, Hylan Boulevard and Jock Avenue. Transfers available to S76 and S86 Limited. This stop is Hylan Boulevard and Jock Avenue. Next stop, Hylan Boulevard and Burbank Avenue. This stop is Hylan Boulevard and Burbank Avenue. Next stop, Hylan Boulevard and Otis Avenue. This stop is Hylan Boulevard and Otis Avenue. Next stop, Hylan Boulevard and Elmtree Avenue. This stop is Hylan Boulevard and Elmtree Avenue. Next stop, Hylan Boulevard and Lincoln Avenue. Transfers available to SIM1C and S81 Limited. This stop is Hylan Boulevard and Lincoln Avenue. Next stop, Hylan Boulevard and Midland Avenue. Transfers available to S51, S81 Limited and SIM1C. This stop is Hylan Boulevard and Midland Avenue. Next stop, Hylan Boulevard and Hamden Avenue. This stop is Hylan Boulevard and Hamden Avenue. Next stop, Hylan Boulevard and Adams Avenue. This stop is Hylan Boulevard and Adams Avenue. Next stop, Hylan Boulevard and Jefferson Avenue. This stop is Hylan Boulevard and Jefferson Avenue. Next stop, Hylan Boulevard and Seaver Avenue. This stop is Hylan Boulevard and Seaver Avenue. Next stop, Hylan Boulevard and Norton Avenue. This stop is Hylan Boulevard and Norton Avenue. Next stop, Hylan Boulevard and Buell Avenue. This stop is Hylan Boulevard and Buell Avenue. Next stop, Hylan Boulevard and Liberty Avenue. This stop is Hylan Boulevard and Liberty Avenue. Next stop, Hylan Boulevard and Cromwell Avenue. This stop is Hylan Boulevard and Cromwell Avenue. Next stop, Hylan Boulevard and Delaware Avenue. This stop is Hylan Boulevard and Delaware Avenue. Next stop, Hylan Boulevard and Evergreen Avenue. This stop is Hylan Boulevard and Evergreen Avenue. Next stop, Hylan Boulevard and Benton Avenue. This stop is Hylan Boulevard and Benton Avenue. Next stop, Hylan Boulevard and Reed Avenue. Transfer available to Staten Island Railway. This stop is Hylan Boulevard and Reed Avenue. Next stop, Hylan Boulevard and Quintard Street. Transfer available to Staten Island Railway. This stop is Hylan Boulevard and Quintard Street. Next stop, Hylan Boulevard and Parkinson Avenue. This stop is Hylan Boulevard and Parkinson Avenue. Next stop, Hylan Boulevard and Norway Avenue. Transfer available to S53. This stop is Hylan Boulevard and Norway Avenue. Next stop, Hylan Boulevard and Lamport Boulevard. Transfer available to S53. This stop is Hylan Boulevard and Lamport Boulevard. Next stop, Hylan Boulevard and Kramer Street. This stop is Hylan Boulevard and Kramer Street. Next stop, Hylan Boulevard and Linwood Avenue. This stop is Hylan Boulevard and Linwood Avenue. Next stop, Hylan Boulevard and Sands Lane. Transfer available to S52. This stop is Hylan Boulevard and Sands Lane. Next stop, Hylan Boulevard and West Fingerboard Road. Transfer available to S52. This stop is Hylan Boulevard and West Fingerboard Road. Next stop, Hylan Boulevard and Fingerboard Road. This stop is Hylan Boulevard and Fingerboard Road. Next stop, Hylan Boulevard and Piedmont Avenue. This stop is Hylan Boulevard and Piedmont Avenue. Next stop, Olga Place and Hylan Boulevard. This stop is Olga Place and Hylan Boulevard. Next stop, Steuben Street and Narrows Road South. Transfer available to S93 Limited. This stop is Steuben Street and Narrows Road South. Next stop, Hylan Boulevard and Donley Avenue. This stop is Hylan Boulevard and Donley Avenue. Next stop, Hylan Boulevard and Reynolds Street. This stop is Hylan Boulevard and Reynolds Street. Next stop, Hylan Boulevard and Tompkins Avenue. This stop is Hylan Boulevard and Tompkins Avenue. Next stop, Tompkins Avenue and St. Mary's Avenue. This stop is Tompkins Avenue and St. Mary's Avenue. Next stop, Tompkins Avenue and Chestnut Avenue. This stop is Tompkins Avenue and Chestnut Avenue. Next stop, Tompkins Avenue and Townsend Avenue. This stop is Tompkins Avenue and Townsend Avenue. Next stop, Tompkins Avenue and Vanderbilt Avenue. Transfers available to S76 and S86 Limited. This stop is Tompkins Avenue and Vanderbilt Avenue. Next stop, Tompkins Avenue and Hill Street. This stop is Tompkins Avenue and Hill Street. Next stop, Tompkins Avenue and Broad Street. Transfer available to S74. This stop is Tompkins Avenue and Broad Street. Next stop, Canal Street. Transfers available to S51 and S74. This stop is Canal Street. Next stop, Van Duzer Street and Beach Street. This stop is Van Duzer Street and Beach Street. Next stop, Van Duzer Street and Baltic Street. This stop is Van Duzer Street and Baltic Street. Next stop, Van Duzer Street and Grant Street. This stop is Van Duzer Street and Grant Street. Next stop, Bay Street and Hannah Street. Transfers available to Staten Island Railway, S46, S48, S61, S62 and S66. This stop is Bay Street and Hannah Street. Next stop, Bay Street and Victory Boulevard. Transfers available to Staten Island Railway, S46, S48, S61, S62 and S66. This stop is Bay Street and Victory Boulevard. Next stop, Bay Street and Slauson Terrace. Transfers available to S42, S46, S48, S62 and S61. This stop is Bay Street and Slauson Terrace. Next stop, Bay Street and Borough Place. Transfers available to S40, S44, S46, S48 and S61. This stop is Bay Street and Borough Place. Next stop, St. George Ferry. Transfers available to Staten Island Ferry, Staten Island Railway, S40, S44, S46, S48 and S51. This stop is St. George Ferry. This is S78 to St. George Ferry. Please exit through the rear door.